What is up, guys? Avinaldo here. Welcome back. Let's get into the trades and all that kind of cool stuff. Hope you guys are doing well. We haven't done any excuse me, any background music lately, so maybe we could do a little bit of that. And now I sound like a kind of radio guy or whatever. One of those deep voice, kind of radio people. Anyway, of course you start coughing the moment you start streaming. But hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Jay Sherlock? Really appreciate you, man. You've been a long-time follower. Really appreciate you. What's up, Aya? Aya. ETH goes to 2,500. Yeah, pretty likely at some point here. So let's have a what's up, Carlton Way. So always appreciate you, smash the like button, all that good stuff. You can see all the trades, right here, kind of hedging the bets quite a bit. There's one that's in the green. We're jumping right now, so if we really, get some more momentum, shouldn't be giving you guys a stop loss here, but if we do get some more momentum, these could, turn green. So I think it's more of a, kind of waiting game. I think it's unlikely that all these two get stopped out. It could happen, but it's, unlikely. So you're kind of hedging that bet in a, a good way there, I think. We could look at, a couple other charts. I mean, ETH Bitcoin, I think it could bleed, against Bitcoin along with most other alts before kind of a January, little recovery rally that we would hope for. It's looking more like January, given that you're, now in the second half of December and you're not seeing, too much happen. You're not seeing too much, really happen. So I think this is, it's kind of significant to look at, January is more of where we may see it. Maybe another come down to this area for ETH versus Bitcoin. And then we kind of, jump up. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. This could be a jump. I mean, you're hitting this place. I mean, you could try to, if you're heavy short right now, you try to find a good kind of, situation. And, you could try this. I'd be lenient. I'd probably go below this low right here and try to, ride her up a little bit farther than that. That's what I would kind of, look to do there to potentially hedge the bet. But I'm already short and I'm already long. So, just kind of waiting for something to happen, I would say. Bitcoin, you didn't even hit this spiral line yet. So I think it is a big place. I would be way more inclined to look at, logarithmic spiral lines like I always generally am. Linear could give you some type of information too, but it's a little weird when they're, just so close to one another here. I don't know if that's going to help us too much right now, but yeah, I mean, you could break, down a little bit further. I could see if you break this low, you could break it a little bit, that would be, that's going up far. Let's actually look at this, zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, you get maybe 79, you lose that low, and then you get a jump. Maybe a lot of people give up hope at 79. You get a jump, everybody gets excited, then you go to 72. I mean, I think that if we had to map this out or something, I mean, I don't know, maybe this, towards the end of this month, and then kind of rally around the holiday into that FOMC meeting in January, and that could be all the way up to 108. Keep that in mind. That would be my kind of, goal. 102 to 108 is what you probably will see come January, get everybody excited again. All the super cycle people coming back. And this is, there's probably, I mean, I don't watch too many other people religiously, but I mean, this could be one of the things that, I'm sure a lot of people are probably talking about this situation. Why are they talking about this? Because it's, similar to what's happened lately. Now, you could look at my least favorite pattern that may form. This is more of a freaking, this is going to bore a lot of people if this does happen, but you bounce around and then you kind of, then you into May, June, or wherever you drop down to these points. So this would be a situation, I would say, which is more kind of like if we go way back to 2018. There used to be, Coinbase was around longer than this. I don't know what they did with their chart, but actually this would be more like it's choppy. It would be a much earlier version of this choppiness than you kind of go off the roller coaster at the end there. And it could be fast down to, let's say 58, 48, wherever that may be. I mean, history would kind of tell you the correction is going to be, I mean, history would tell you like any correction with probably a 5 in front of it, 50% correction is a good place to get in. Anything with a 6 in front of it is probably a great place to get in. Let's put it like that. Like anything with a 5 in front of it, good place. Anything with a 6 in front of it in terms of percentage corrections, great place. That's what I would be, kind of inclined to to look at to say here, I mean, if you're looking in terms of time, you know, I think that sometime between May to October, you know, would be kind of your sweet spot. You'll probably run into the bottom there, you know, assuming nothing crazy happens, assuming we don't go into a recession, you know, this coming year, 2026. I mean, you know, I think that, yeah, I think that those are the things to realize. So yeah. In terms of like bearish, bullish cases, I mean, your 6-day, you know, that's the most bearish thing we've seen in a long time. There's a lot of, you know, bearish situations. Here it came up a little bit higher than where that kind of turned, which actually let's look at. That would probably incline. Yeah, that's it. That would be like we're in a simulation if that happens, which we've been in. You know, we've done things that looked like simulations before. So something like this, I would kind of guess, you know, and then you kind of just wake me up when anything with a 5, you know. In terms of percentage wise, anything with a 5 or 6, the 5 in front of it starts to get good. Anything in terms of numbers in front of it, you could almost argue the same thing. Anything with a 5 in front of it is where it starts to get kind of good. I don't know what to make of CPI. I don't think anybody obviously can predict that. I would guess it may come in a little bit hotter than expected to kind of fuel a pause more, you know, in the first half of next year, but we shall see. I don't know. Maybe it brings us up. I mean, it's tough to say. What's up, Baca? That name sounds familiar. Is it the Baca that does Twitter Spaces? Probably not, but yeah, appreciate you. You know, so I think, you know, you're kind of looking at this area. Let's map out ETH a little bit. You know, you'd probably, you know, see a lower low or something. I don't know, 2,500. I didn't even realize, yeah, you were almost down with that already. So whoever said 2,500 is probably right. And then, you know, January rally, you know, it could be higher than a lot of people may guess. You know, and then back, you know, kind of to, you know, let's say these, you know, kind of, you know, these areas come February, March. And I think, you know, for Ethereum, you know, let's kind of map out in terms of, you know, assuming this survives. Yeah, I mean, anything with the 5 in front of it, I think isn't, well, yeah, I guess anything with a 5 in front of it's probably okay. Anything with 6 in front of it's probably good. You know, I wouldn't say anything's like, unfortunately, I wouldn't go like very deep to say anything's like really, really great for Ethereum yet. We still need it to prove itself a little bit. And by prove itself a little bit, I would say we really want it to, you know, outperform Bitcoin over the next 4 to 6 months. That's what I think is really important. This is choppy here with your EMAs. I mean, your 5 days about to go into the grays. That's generally, I mean, it's been a bottom here. It was not a bottom there. You know, I mean, a bottom there. I would compare more like this, you know, definitely not a bottom. I mean, here was a good place to obviously get into ETH when it turned bright, but, you know, you were waiting a while there. And then obviously it bled against, you know, Bitcoin for a lot of this time. So, you know, keep that in mind. So yeah, I mean, that was from 1600 to 2000. Yeah, not too much happened. Then you finally, you know, broke upward. You did a lot of damage there. So yeah. You know, that your weekly could 6-day confirms in 2 days. That's going to go into the grays. It doesn't tell us too much though. Weekly, yeah, kind of the same thing here. It didn't kind of almost went to the gray. Yeah, a little bit. You know, based on history, it's probably not a good buy. Going into the gray, it's probably more of a bearish signal. I would say, yeah, probably the 2 or 3 day, you know, going back into the brights could give you more of something. I mean, here it was ETH's a weird one with some of these. So when you analyze ETH, it gets weird, especially something that's kind of, you know, let's be real. I mean, this is something that's bled against the S&P 500 since November 21. So it's still got, you know, it's still got to prove itself. You know, if we look at ETH versus SPY, I mean, you haven't done, yeah, I mean, since November 21. I mean, you've just been in this range, and I mean, more likely you'll probably break down farther before you know, come back up, and, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So yeah. How many X do I normally do? I'm not sure what that means. Weekly bull div. Let's look at that on Bitcoin. You're talking about, let's see, so this is going, it's going down. Well, this is going, yeah, hidden bull div, I guess, if you care about that. Yeah, if you're going from the wicks or what, yeah, technically, I mean, if it goes down farther, not really. Some may argue, I don't think that means too much, unfortunately. I think the 2 week, you know, generally the 2 week, trigger wave forming, you're not even that close to forming yet, but you're somewhat forming, could be something good, but that one not too good. That could be kind of your sell signal there, as we saw in the last, situation, last, bear market. So that's what I'd kind of lean towards here. I think that you got that right there. It's a very similar situation. It could be more like this in a way, and that would assume a earlier kind of, if you were to come back up to 108 or something, or 102, then you get a big drop down to 64. That could be your bottom. Those peaks. Peaks are, I don't know why. I learned this from Garrett Soloway. I know probably some of you guys may have mixed views on some of his calls or whatever. Good analyst, and really smart guy. And I'll be honest. I do think some of his calls have been overly bearish. I think even he would admit to that. But nobody's going to bat 1,000. These peaks are big, and I think in this situation, I'm sure a lot of people have probably talked about these peaks, and I think these peaks, 57 down to like 48, big area. That could be a potential bottom. Assuming slightly, even that would be like, because that's only a 50% correction when you're used to 70% plus. Adjusting for inflation, 80% every single one. So of 80% bear market to a 50% correction bear market, that may be a super cycle in some people, in my eyes almost. So keep that in mind. But I think you come down, that's where it gets kind of to a good buy, So yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Japan rate hike, price stand, but wasn't the same thing going on? Yeah. Everyone's talking about the Japan rate hike. It's the fourth largest. What is it? Fourth largest economy in the world. I'd be more inclined to follow what China's doing. Obviously U.S. is still the largest economy. I don't know. Once you get down to number 4, I think it's kind of coincidental what ends up happening. I don't know if that means that much. They're obviously very significant, but you know. So yeah. August 24 before the top. What's up, Aquaman? Yeah, been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Golden Dumpling, good evening. Cipher ups. Wasn't the same thing. Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't mean much to me. I'd be more inclined to follow what the U.S. Fed is doing. Midnight token. I've never heard of it. I think that altcoins probably will bleed against Bit. That's actually, Solana, hitting this point, I could see some short-term relief, but I do think this will come down lower, at some point here. Uh, I mean, this jump there. I'm just curious about the 3-day, because I feel like 3-day especially is like pretty significant on, a time frame where you wait, you got that jump up. I remember that 2023 jump up, and probably a lot of people, including myself, were a little skeptical. Probably didn't expect it to, come up this high, but 10x from there, not too shabby. We'll see how this does in the next, bull run and all that. So yeah. Dow, yeah. We could look at that. Yeah, nobody's asked me about that in a while. Tesla, I feel like could be a previous all-time high from just a year ago. I think is a significant point to kind of mark out. Did we make a new all-time high? Maybe slightly. Maybe she jumps higher. This could be it. I don't know. It still looks okay. Yeah, it still looks okay. I think your high time frames are a little concerning. I would guess you would see some type of pullback, but we'll see what happens. So it's Tesla. Excuse me. Dow. I don't know, man. This reminds me of, what was that? Oh, what was that one? Oh man, what was that new one? Not that new. It was from a few years ago. It came out. They released it at the bottom of Bitcoin. If anybody knows what coin that was, I forget. Was it like I? It was something like something inop? No, it was something like some weird. I forget what it was. But I don't know. I wouldn't bet too much on this. My fear. It looks. Well, the other one it looks a little similar. It was this pattern. It just broke down. So I don't think altcoins right now are the move. I do think they may see a little bit in January, but then once the Fed pauses, most likely in January, they probably will not do too shabby. I think the ones that will outperform Bitcoin, obviously, most likely you get the best odds with ETH, but anything that outperforms Bitcoin over the next 4 to 6 months has got some potential. But this sure as hell ain't outperforming Bitcoin right now. I mean, there's a lot that sure as hell aren't, and AVAX is one that I was more hopeful on, but man, just lower lows. I mean, it's just not. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say most of the ones that just keep bleeding from down to places from years ago are not gonna. I mean, what's that down from its 95% down? What was the other one? I think was it this one that was going nuts? Or obviously Zcash went nuts. Nobody's talking about it now. It's probably sideways, right? Yeah. I don't know if that's. I feel like everyone wanted to sell at the tops. Kind of have sold. So that's what I would assume. A trade for this, what I kind of would be, I'm clicking too much. Daily. Yeah, you could try that. I mean, the thing with this is like, where do you put your stop loss? All that. You could try above there. I have a feeling maybe a lot of people are trying to do this. I mean, this could really dump. I mean, you'll be waiting a while. There's going to be fees and all that type of crap. But I want to see, can you trade this on TapBit now? You might not be able to. I can't even, my thing's glitching, I guess. But anyway, here are the trades. If you guys want to, I think you could trade it on BloFin. I don't think I've ever traded Zcash, but think you can trade it on BloFin. And if you're interested in doing that, this promo has just ended. I mentioned it yesterday in the pre-recorded video. Yeah, this ended, but there's always going to be some type of bonus, 20% cash back. BYDFI is still going on, though, guys. Deposit 20K, get 2K. Deposit 10,000, get 1,000, so that's cool. It's going on until December 30th. Check it out if you guys are interested. Really good promo, in my opinion. TapBit's doing something pretty good, too. Deposit 150, get 100, so, yeah. Check that out. And there's these ones, too, which are pretty good. So 20% off your fees for life, as always, guys, on all these exchanges. So yeah, make sure you open a support ticket with your email or your UID in the Discord if you do sign up and deposit, and I'll give you one for a month there. Okay, what's up? Yeah, AVAX and Solana chart. Yeah, I mean, AVAX I'd be careful with. Solana I would also be careful with. 78, 74. Okay. 78. Yeah, I mean, it's more a matter of like when, not if, I would say, for that number. I mean, the when is probably going to be not that long. I mean, that could be like end of this month, this week, next week. Maybe a few days. I don't know. And then probably a bounce from there. I don't think you're going to bleed all the way down to like 69. As much as I want, like, as much as I want to like kind of rip the band-aid off and be done with this bear market earlier or whatever, because but I don't think it'll go down there that quickly. It's more going to be it's going to take its time, I think. But yeah. Oh, interesting. Golden doubling. Oh, what's up, MIS? Remember you? Are you doing well? Oh, the W10. Okay, you kind of look at, yeah, I mean, it's an AI one, right? I think it's an AI one. Yeah. Is it this? I don't know. It doesn't look very attractive to me at the moment. That's what I will say. Versus Bitcoin, choppy here, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. If it can outperform Bitcoin for the next 4 to 6 months, I'd be more hopeful. That's what I will say. So yeah. I haven't seen that MS. I don't even. What is MSCI? I forget what that. I don't even know what that is. That's been down past few. That's interesting. There's not many. An amazing decade here. And then nothing really. Stronghold. I've heard of Stronghold, yeah. MSTR, I mean, if I had to guess here, I don't think Sailor's going under or anything that crazy. I don't think, I think this is just generally what people would infer would happen in a bear market. I mean, it probably won't even be as bad as this, 90% down. I would guess, what, 70? Well, almost 70, probably 80, 90 to 83, probably 87 if I had to guess. I'm not the biggest MicroStrategy like guy or whatever. I mean, it topped out against the ETH here. It's split against the ETH. I think that it's like a Bitcoin MSTR. I mean, yeah, Bitcoin's outperformed it for a minute, for a year. Bitcoin generally does outperform it, but since they bought, it's been a little bit different. We'll see. I mean, you made a slight high against Bitcoin years ago. I mean, 20, I don't, MicroStrategy is not the most attractive thing to me, in my opinion. It does look, yeah, like Bitcoin will go up more against it. So, yeah. Um, I wouldn't like go so far to call it a scam. I would say some of the stuff he's doing in recent months, I would say, or recent years has been kind of, needlessly, reckless, I guess. But even with that, I mean, I think Bitcoin would probably have to go under 30K for him to lose his marbles, to really get screwed. And I don't think that's very likely. It could happen, but you know, um, mm, yeah. I mean, Near is probably another one that's gotten slaughtered. I would think. Yeah, nothing really happened in there. I mean, the November still above these highs from October 23, but yeah, not too much, unfortunately. Yeah, some of this is really, I mean, it's like a helium that's been that, yeah, nothing going on. I mean, everything. And yeah, I mean, I do think once you finally do get, maybe an alt run in, I don't know, 2029, 2028, some of these will jump up, but yeah, it's just not, I think we really got to be very observant over the next 4 to 6 months to see what can outperform Bitcoin and then, make choices kind of based on that. But I mean, the base case is that, most of these that have just been falling off a cliff over the last 4 to 6 months probably are going to zero, you know. Not to I hope I'm wrong if people still have them, but I mean, your boy kind of got out at the big, ETH sell signal in I'll show you guys where I got out, and most of you know about this if you listened to me over the past few months, but kind of this sell signal right here. I think I sold while it was, kind of printing towards. I think I got out generally at 3,800, and that was, a pretty good place for most things. Um, I mean, saved 30, 40%, so pretty good. I'll take it. Did pretty well. Not as well as I wanted to. I mean, obviously, like everyone else, kind of did not do well at all with altcoins, but Bitcoin ETH positions did pretty well throughout this. A little bit of scarcity right here, and I mean, nobody saw probably a new all-time high coming except Evanaldo, your boy. And don't believe me, you look back. But maybe I shouldn't have been. Maybe I didn't have as much business as I should have had being optimistic. Maybe that was too ballsy, but who knows? Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like the news is like, I mean, the news is always bullish. I mean, on-chain analysis, certain things are always bullish, including the news and on-chain analysis. I mean, this is just falling off a cliff. Yeah, to buy this right now, oh God, you know, maybe in 4 to 6 months if we could show some strength, at least against Bitcoin. That's what I will, kind of look towards here. I should say, you know. So yeah. Yeah. So that's that. But yeah, appreciate you guys showing up. Pinned chat if you guys are interested in trading on BloFin. There's a good. Oh, that one just ended. Damn it. But you get 20% of your fees for life. I think the BYDFI bonus is probably the best. I mean, the TapBit one's pretty good. I've been looking. TapBit's okay. I mean, there's that. I think there was one where it was just like a one trade you get. I think was it this? Yeah, I think this might be just like a one trade thing. If you deposit 150, this is the one that's kind of annoying. But I think that yeah, you need higher deposits to get the yeah. But you still get just registering at the $50 one trade. So I think they would let you withdraw from that, but you never know. Check it out if you're interested. BidFi's good. BloFin's good too. TapBit not bad. I've been using. I never had any trouble, but you know. if you guys have any suggestions, let me know for exchanges. But I think BloFin, BidFi, best ones, no KYC. I think for BloFin, you need a V. No, I haven't been. I should. Your boy shouldn't admit to. Your boy always uses a VPN. Hackers, if you're listening, if you're trying to hack Evan Aldo, your boy can't hack me. Always use the VPN, but yeah. News is always bullish, but first, yeah. Well, the thing too is like you can make the same argument. The news is always bearish. I mean, Peter Schiff always finds bearish things to say, and I mean, obviously people are gonna be like, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about or whatever. But I mean, sometimes the bearish things he says do play out. I mean, there's bearish news that does play out sometimes. It doesn't always play out, but sometimes it does. I mean, generally, if you're on the bullish betting side of Bitcoin, you're generally been right. Um, just like if you've been on the bullish betting side of the S&P 500, you've generally been right. Other than a few select decades like the 1930s, 1970s, and how do you even? Does anyone knows? How do I say that? I want to say the double O's, the 2000s. Like I mean, from 2000 to 2010, and I want to say that in less damn syllables. Like how do I, how do I say that? You know. Right here, you broke it. Yeah, I mean these are kind of. I mean, I could see why people do crap on technical analysis. Um, Especially when things are a lot of things can be a little bit subjective, but right there, 74, I think would be a good, decent target. But yeah. Ginsler, man, Ginsler. How are you guys coping with the like fatiguing market? I mean, I don't think it's too bad. I mean, you know, if you sold a month ago, like I did, you're in a decent position. um, I guess if you're on I mean, if your portfolio generally consisted of Atom, Polkadot, Avalanche, things of that nature, Arbitrum, or other ones people have asked me about today. I mean, sorry, but you know, is what it is. Um, mm, KCX. I haven't heard of it. I'll check it out. Decrypto. Decrypto. David Crypto, maybe. Dan Crypto. Dome Crypto. Dune Crypto. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, hmm. Just thinking here. Yeah, jumping up a little bit. Hoping something kind of happens. I want some type. Maybe hopefully the inflation will come in hot and we could just drop down. I could take some profits at least on that. Kind of paying me to short here, so we'll take it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Couple things I want to look at. Let's see. Oh wow, that's cool. They need Congress for that though, I would think, but maybe not. Um, I mean, fear and greed. I was looking at altcoins. Obviously, there's no altcoin season now, but fear and greed 22. So I would assume this would jump up to maybe neutral at some point in January, and then come down back to fear or whatever. So that's what I would say. That's what I will say. Oh, speaking of things, I mean, I was thinking like, what is a couple of things we want to look at. Gold. I could be topping out with potentially everything else, including the Nasdaq or whatever. it could jump up to 47. I don't know. Here, the 3 week is getting a little concerning, especially after this large, rally upward. Um, that's what I will say. SPY gold, I want to look at the moment. You may jump here. I don't know if you're going to make a lower low. You might. It's hard to say. I think you will. I mean, this is like kind of, you may see some sidewaysness against this or a little bit. I mean, it could be, something of this nature, and then you finally jump up in the 23. Like that's kind of my guess here. I don't know if you're getting back up to these areas. You could, something of that nature. Um, and that's kind of what history would tell you. I've looked at all the kind of gold cycles against S&P 500 over the last 100 years. So, that's what it would kind of tell you here. Yeah, SPY, everyone there. Yeah. Oh wait, yeah. So that would I screwed up. I meant to draw the downward. They eventually break downward. Um, it's kind of crazy to think that, how much the SPY has bled against gold, 70% against gold since, these type of areas there. So gold ain't a bad buy, I don't think. I mean, I think it's kind of foolish not to have any exposure to gold. I mean, I think you will, maybe get, I mean, your main technical target, if you lose this area, which I think you eventually will, I don't know when, would be right around here. And that's another, 30% down against S&P 500. We would probably want more so, but we'll see. Resolve AI. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the biggest person for buying brand new tokens, but I mean, raise your hand if you made some money on them. Congrats to you. Um, so yeah. Other thing I wanted to look, yeah, silver's been up. I don't know. I would guess maybe 70, 70 to 74. Been a silent runner. I think over the next couple years to, yeah, I would assume something of this nature, mid 2030s, 150, kind of there. I think a lot of the move is, I mean, sideways for a few years, then a jump up. I don't know. Hmm. What's up, Ron? Yeah, I'll go over that briefly. I kind of already talked about that, but yeah, I mean, look, I mean, everything's subject to change. Nobody knows, but yeah, let's say we rally up into like end of January after that FOMC meeting. Then, what'd you say? Well, I think it'll start to dump the energy. It's not going to immediately be over in a day, but yeah, I think you would see something of this nature into May, maybe all the way into October if we do hit lower lows, but hard to say. That's what I think will happen, Ron. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to look at Palantir a little bit, and I don't know if I saw. I mean, there's some low risk, high reward potentials that you could do with options or whatnot on some of these right here. I mean, nothing's going to go up forever. And I think you're seeing like an AI. I mean, Time Magazine is AI Person of the Year. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see very likely going to see a pullback. That's usually like, I just want to. Did Google own YouTube in 2006? It was Person of the Year was you as in YouTube, the YouTuber in 2006, I believe. I don't know if they owned it. I just want to see what Google's performance is so long ago, but I just want to see because that's interesting too. Okay, I think they were a year. Okay, so they had a good 2006, then it fell off. Is this when it went public? I don't even know when. Yeah, I thought they were around earlier. Hmm. I thought they were around earlier. If it were, was it 2007? No, 2007 was good. Okay, so I don't know if it was exactly. If they did it the end of 2007, then that was. I don't know if they even owned it back then though, so it could have been different. This probably means nothing. Um, but I would say, yeah. I mean, I would say, what was this jump again? It's nothing too crazy. I would say Palantir could be a good short. Maybe I'm being too. I don't know. But they say there's no money like short money. It's a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. It's going to take time to play out, but, we'll see what ends up happening. I think the daily went into the gray. Now it's coming back into the green, but I think one of these will really break this kind of permanent bull run. um, Silver chart Monero. Monero could come up. I don't know, man. I mean, both of those would tell you bullish, I guess, that pattern. But I mean, not everything's gonna like break bullish as this pattern. I mean, this looks toppy in terms of 4-year cycle you're hitting here, but we'll see what ends up happening. Yeah, they've lessened the censorship a little bit. I mean, I think the censorship obviously really started, around COVID 2020, which was pandemic, obviously. I think old school YouTube kind of ended. Yeah, like old school YouTube was like 2017, 2018, 2019, especially Rogan. Like he had a lot of clips that are definitely not still up now, or at least harder shadow banned or harder to find. A lot of interesting stuff back in those years, kind of Trump's first term until pandemic, and then they're letting some stuff back because they're afraid. But I think the moment a Dem gets back in, or even like JD Vance or the next president gets back in, I think it's going to be more censorship. I think probably 2030s when you see more like chaos and crisis stuff like that, or recession stuff like that, you would see more of a pull for censorship. That's what I would kind of guess. I think there's always going to be a way to kind of see what's really going on. Um, that's what I think. There's always going to be probably a way. At least if you have some type of brain in your skull, I guess. Um, mm, Anticipating that. Oh, it happened earlier. Remove drivers. Yeah. I mean, that's my view. M-Ice or Golden Dumpling. I mean, Tesla. I mean, Tesla is like a good obviously going to be pretty good long term, I would think. I mean, I do think, yeah, it looks kind of toppy. I would be more inclined to short something like Palantir that's up 20x over the last 2 years rather than this. But that's me. I wouldn't enter a short yet. Maybe you'll look at daily, these EMAs going gray, something of that nature, I would kind of guess, you know, if you're trying to short this. But yeah. Tesla versus SPY would be interesting. Yeah, it still hasn't made a new high against the SPY for some years now. Good jumps there. I mean, I marked that out. Good places there. April 25. I think I did mark that out as a good place. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe you could jump up high. I don't know. I wouldn't bet that much against Tesla. I wouldn't bet against Tesla, I'm not like Tim Walls trying to, bet against Tesla. This looks toppy. Apple, I would think, looks toppy. That does look pretty toppy right there, I would say. That's the thing, too. Let's compare Apple to the SPY. I mean, I'm sure this hasn't done too well again. Yeah, yeah, it's been years. I mean, 2 years. It probably will reject against the SPY. Um, I mean, everyone sold it, all the big money. I mean, I don't know if there's enough liquidity that's going to go into this that, keeps. I don't think it'll do that bad, but I mean, I just don't think the liquidity is there to keep it, on this never-ending rally against S&P 500 from 2003. Um, the thing too is, yeah, that was like a 50. I mean, this is one of the few ones that here's what's interesting on this, I would say, is that draw. Yeah, I mean, you did outperform gold through a lot of the lost decade. Um, but I mean, if you bought here, not too good. You know what I mean? So that's why I think metals are always like, it's good to have some exposure. You know what I mean? Even if it's just like a couple percentage points of a portfolio. Because like if you look back at like 1930s, 1970s, 2000 to 2010, I mean, we all want to say Bitcoin will do good, and I hope it will. I think there's definitely a case that it will, but the only thing historically that you really would have made money was gold. You know, bonds too. I don't think would do that bad, but you'll still lose money because of inflation. But it'll probably outperform the. That's the thing too with like bonds. What's interesting, I also want to look at like TLT for example versus gold, and It's something that generally bleeds a lot against gold. I mean, during this decade, outperformed it a little bit, once gold kind of had kind of had its fun, but generally just bleeds against gold there. I don't know, BND versus gold, it's the other, even worse there. I mean, that kind of jump up for, yeah, I mean, bonds did not do that bad during that decade. There's not enough data here. I wonder, is there more data on gold? Probably not that much more data on bonds, but yeah, right there. I mean, it's from '07, yeah. I mean, even, a little '08, then it bled, then, yeah, because they printed money, that's why they bled, yeah. You want some exposure to gold, that's what I will say. And that's more of like an insurance policy, more of a long-term thing. I mean, what could you realistically get with gold? I mean, 8 to 12K would be my view, so maybe double your money, over the next 10 years, let's say. Nothing too insane. But that's still good. I mean, it's still better than most people. Like during lost decades, during recessions that are due, during changing world orders and whatnot, most people are losing a lot. If you can just double, like that's good. You know what I mean? That's what I would argue. That's what I would say. Um, hmm. Hmm. Yeah, maybe we looked at a few of these. I looked at silver even. I think you probably want more gold than silver. Just like you probably. Well, it depends on depends on the mood, but it depends on the time. But yeah, I mean, you probably want more. ETH or more Bitcoin than ETH, at least right now at the moment. But I do think that ETH's got to. Well, I actually don't want to. I have more ETH than Bitcoin right now, surprisingly. But I mean, I do think if it shows a lot of weakness here, I will go more Bitcoin heavy. I don't have that much crypto right now, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm anticipating a bear market. I've made a lot on the way up, especially on Bitcoin, especially on ETH. I'll take my chances with the bear market. I think that I wouldn't mind getting back in at like 115K if these EMAs could go bright in the 3 day. I don't think that's going to happen for a while though. It's kind of like a death cross, that probably will continue to bring us down. Yeah, that's what I would argue here. AMD. We can look at that. Yeah, I mean that's kind of runs in the shadow of Nvidia. Um, you know, the monthly looks pretty scary. High time frames look a little scary. It's hard to say. I could see, if you lose 200 or as you are right now, it probably would. I don't know. Going back to yeah, this is. I forgot these just went nuts. Yeah, forgot how crazy this went. Yeah, yeah, just insane. Um, yeah, I mean, given that it's been up, so much, I would. Well, it hasn't done too much since. Yeah, and if you got in that low, yeah, that was significant. I don't know, man. I mean, I would guess you could. Yeah, I mean, you could jump down back to 100 maybe. It's kind of speculative, hard to say. Speaking of that, let's look at Nvidia, the big boy. That looks pretty bearish. I mean, my guess would be maybe half of this situation. A much weaker version of this. Well, I mean, what's half of this about there? Um, and that would bring you out until May. That's kind of my first potential month for a bottom for Bitcoin. I would say 100. 100 would not be. Would be a much calmer version of that. I would expect the continuation or whatever to not be as good, not as crazy as that because you made serious dough on, I mean 17x. If this goes gray, it's probably not gonna. I mean, you could that 2 day. That's gonna go gray, and it's probably gonna be even that daily right there. See how that went gray? I mean, it gets choppy. I don't know if that's the best thing to look at, but in a couple days or even 17 hours, it starts to go gray. Like Warren Buffett, he's gray. Kidding. Yeah, that jump there, but yeah. Yeah, this could be a short. Yeah. I think that thing is you want to get a good risk reward ratio. I mean, if you were to, I'd be right around that high. And then, yeah, it's like a two, it's like, is that really the best trade? But I mean, it's a high confidence trade. It's probably going to, do something. I'd rather short Palantir though. And demand looks like there's enough electricity in the U.S. to feed the chips. I don't know, man. Um, I think AI is gonna cool off a little bit. I think that Time Magazine Person of the Year is kind of like the crypto Super Bowl. I think it's gonna cool off for 6 months, 6 to 12 months. That's what I would think. Um, I think more of the conservative things, such as I'm curious about, like, I mean, this is a weird ass thing to look at, but like, if we look at, for example, like Warren Buffett versus like visualize him fighting Nvidia's CEO Jensen. This may see a jump there more. I think the big thing too is that, like, I would assume this should jump against gold. Hopefully, that's my kind of guess here. I am heavy in this right now. I don't know. This is just acting like I'm 100 years old, but I don't know. This against gold, I don't know, but I think it'll come down like everything else. If gold comes down, this probably will hold up a little bit better. I'm just trying to outperform I mean, the number one goal, I would say, for any investor, I mean, would be to outperform the S&P 500. If China becomes the world's number one economy, I guess it would be to outperform their version of that. You know what I mean? 100 years ago, it was probably to outperform the UK's version of their S&P 500. That's what I would say. Um, Number two would be outperform the Nasdaq. I think the S&P 500 probably is due to outperform the Nasdaq in the 2030s. Um, if you look at decades, those are long periods to look at. People don't have patience, including myself, but you know, there's that. Let's jump right here. I like how it's looking against a SPY. Every time you've seen those decent those like 30%, corrections, such as this, it usually gets a pretty good jump. So we'll see what happens. I think it is a little undervalued. I think people kind of got too pessimistic over Buffett stepping down. Like, I think he hasn't. I think other people have been calling more of the shots for longer than people would think. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's see. Hmm. Hmm. I'm not sure what else there is to look at the moment. I mean, I'll show you guys some exchanges again if you're just tuning in. It actually is a really good. I would do the BYDFI promo I like the most at the moment. We'll get something else with BloFin, but here these ones are pretty good if you got the cash. 10K for one. Yeah, I mean, this is not bad. I think these are obviously the best right now. Actually, that's not bad with the 500, 100. I don't mind that one. Check it out. It ends December 30th. You got another week or two. If you're interested, check it out. And if you sign up, remember to open a support ticket in Discord with your UID or your email, and we'll get you sorted for a free month there. So yeah. TapBit, BloFin good as well. No KYC for any of these. So far, so good. We shall see what happens. Others versus Bitcoin. So my guess here, and this is probably an important thing to look at in terms of altcoins. Here's what happened the last time they ended. It's like, yeah, I mean, last time they ended QT, it was like, yeah, end of July. Let's move this back a tiny bit, And you drop down, like this situation, drop down a bit against Bitcoin. Let's move this over. Ooh, that's actually, yeah, I don't think you're going to go all the way down that low, but you could come close or something. Like, I think if the market does, I don't know, continue to go down, or if I would say, excuse me, sorry. I don't know. Maybe if you do see a rally, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but if you do see a rally in January, I would assume that alts will lag behind. At least others will lag behind. I don't know if they're gonna have there's the retail interest. There's a lot of apathy in the market. I mean, what brings less apathy in the market? Probably a drop down farther. I don't know. I was watching like one of Ben Cowan's videos, shout out to Ben Cowan, and he was saying that yeah, he was saying that like, when did the super cycle people kind of throw in the towel? Probably middle of next year, May of next year, going down to like 50K or whatever, giving up. When do they sell? Maybe that point, and that's kind of your bottom. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like they're kind of foolish to like. Why would you sell? You know what I mean? Like that's such a good deal for Bitcoin. Like why would you sell down 50? Like that becomes like where it becomes a great opportunity or a good opportunity to buy. You know what I mean? It's kind of, and I mean it's everything is 2020 in hindsight. Everything is good in hindsight. You know what I mean? But the more you stick with this game, the better decisions. I think it's like anything else in life. Like the better decisions you generally make over time. I mean, okay, sure, if you're trying to gamble and be degenerate stuff, stuff that's very highly risky, maybe not. But stuff that kind of trends up with time, like Bitcoin, S&P 500, NASDAQ, gold when it's right, if you know the cycles, real estate when it's right, or even when it's not right, you know what I mean. Then you could kind of, make pretty good estimated guesses, on a lot of this. Speaking of real estate, I mean, my guess is that real estate will. So the interesting thing too, and oh yeah, this is Miami's market, the one I look at because I have exposure to it. But maybe a jump here. Like I don't think you're gonna crash. Like it maybe a slow bleed down is my guess over the next 5 to 7 years or something. Maybe 4 to 6 years. Um, but I think that maybe if you're looking at like 2026 being kind of a bad year for the stock market, here's where it gets interesting. Oh yeah, I've never looked at this against, but this is interesting. Here we go. Yeah, that's a September low there. So, and that's real. Here's what's that's. I don't even know if it's worth it to. I can't believe I'm mapping this out. This could be a complete, like you're just wasting your time. But let's look at this for a second. 500. So it's about here. 600. That was March, like everything else. Maybe real estate had a good 2021, obviously. 500. That's interesting. It's more. So you're still getting, I don't know. What would you guess here? I mean, look at some of these patterns. I mean, this came, came up to these points. This came up to not really anything here a little bit. Yeah, you're just looking at, I mean, maybe here, that'd be 300, 3 to 400, I would guess. When does it hit that? Like, what are these trajectories? When does it, kind of follows that pattern? So, you'd be looking at like, let's say August, maybe somewhere like there. So, what would we get from this? Sell your property to buy Bitcoin. I'm just kidding. No financial advice. Maybe don't do that. Sell your property to buy Bitcoin. When it's up, it's a good deal against it. Maybe second half of this year. Government. Yeah, I mean, government closing would not be good for markets. I don't know if it will close. What are the odds? Let's actually look at those odds on Polymarket, because that people are be betting on that. I don't think that's likely, but shut down. January 31. That's an interesting 34. Significant, but less likely, unlikely. Something. I want to look at this against none other than Triple Q, for example. I mean, 21, yeah, this was like, it performed it into most of 22. Here was probably a little, if we look at 2018, I'm just looking at times where it outperformed. Yeah, 18, when it goes down, it does. I mean, it is something more stable. Real estate is something more stable. So I think it can outperform some, for the next 4 or 6 months. Now, let's look at this against gold. And you could do Case-Shiller. I'm just doing Miami because I have exposure to it. Ooh, that fell off a cliff against gold the past few years. Everything fell off a cliff against gold. But, I mean, yeah, all the way there to 11, then you outperformed it. You outperformed gold like everything else outperformed it. 18, you came down. And then Oh, that's interesting because you bled against. Okay, that is interesting. Outperformed it there. 20 all the way in. No, 22. Okay, that's interesting because we were trying to get this to go up. Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah, 18 upper. Yeah, you could get a jump. I mean, you're due for. I mean, what are you down against gold? I mean, 60%. You're due for something. I mean, you're due for at least. This was 60. You're due for at least this, I would say. That's interesting too, because that was 08. That was the crash, and then yeah. I don't know what'll happen with this. That's interesting. Um, but I would say, yeah, would say it could do something here. We'll see. We'll see. Ah, Just thinking about this a little bit more. I'm just making thinking noises. Netflix is one that's probably gonna, yeah, if I would look for 58 or something. Hopefully down a bit. Hopefully all the correction. Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna get going. Smash the like button. Last but not least, check out the pin chat. I think the BloFin is good. The best promo at the moment, I think, is if you guys want to trade, is the BYDFI promo. Deposit, 20K get 2,000. Deposit 5K get 500. Check those out if you guys are interested. Check out the Discord too. I'll see you guys in there. We'll do a chat relatively soon.